Jesus.
I think I literally just missed that as I was coming into the recording. Either that or you have a declaration just as I'm cutting the thing with no context. Either way, you know, it's fantastic.
A declaration of a contextless declaration of divinity.
I mean, that's half of these sessions at this point.
Just to claim themselves to be God. I thought it would have been Marcusar. Actually,
You already have.
Yeah.
You already have.
You already have. The Messiah, the
Son of
prophet.
God.
All will love me in despair.
Still not seen it yet. Yeah, as we welcome you all back to Twisted Fates, hopefully this time we won't have to go back to Brazil. Everything seems to be alright in the recording for now. I don't know if we're still in Brazil, I didn't check, but... Are we still in Brazil?
No, we're in Europe.
Nope.
That's good, we're in Europe, so let's hope we don't have to go to Brazil this time. As always, I am your Dungeon Master, and these are my boys. Exciting times, as we are getting into some exciting and spicy story, especially after last session, where I think I traumatized both Ewan and Matthew, one after the other, and kind of at the same time.
Ewan picked up salsa chunks.
He did, yeah.
Imagine having trauma. This post was made by none of us.
We'll get to you eventually, Paul. You get more trauma, don't worry.
I've had play trauma.
Well, you get more trauma.
I died twice. That's the biggest trauma gets.
More.
Before we kind of get into today, quick recap of what happened last time. It was one of our longer sessions in terms of the time we played. It's not one of our longer sessions in terms of upload time. I think it's kind of on average with everything else. But yeah. Start of the session was pretty nice, it was pretty pleasant. We got to learn a little bit about Thornsgard from Wulfric. You know, he got to tell us some nice stories about all the people he knew.
So wonderful.
You know, they were excited. They were excited to go and have a normal time when they arrived in Thornsgard, and everything was great. Everything was pleasant.
Apple-baked products. So many of them, Ewan. You promised us so many of them.
And then, then nighttime rolled around. And, well, they were all woken in the middle of the night, unable to take a long rest, as they woke up to Frida screaming, where it seems like the injury she had sustained from Gaerdrah had actually turned into an infection, which the party were able to deal with pretty quickly and pretty efficiently, but probably not in the most pleasant way possible, as... Well, Eidolon went outside to confront Gaerdrah, the man himself, with Wulfric, and just handed Marcusar his blade to conduct the operation on Frida.
It could have gone worse.
It could have gone a lot worse. Where he did manage to successfully remove pretty much most of her right-hand side to prevent the infection from spreading anymore. But it did mean that for the rest of the session, for the rest of the kind of combat session, Ranagash was fighting with his mental state, and that went horribly wrong.
Yeah.
That one's in like one night.
I mean, like, you clawed it back a little bit, but then you nat one, and, well, he's now suffering from an effect of madness that he's okay with the party. You know, the people are a bit scary, but he's okay with the party. He does have some triggers that are going to get interesting, as those effects of madness will continue for the foreseeable future. I've not told him how long this is going to last, so he's just going to have to go with it. It's okay, there is a duration, Matthew. I rolled the dice. I'm just not telling you.
Hell yeah.
As well, that wasn't the only kind of, I guess, difficulty that was faced in last session, as with Ranagash out of commission, it was left to my boys, or my other boys, Eidolon, Wulfric and Marcusar, to deal with the crystals that Gaerdrah had left behind and the blighted creatures that were coming through the portals that these crystals created. It was a pretty easy clean-up job, all things considered. They managed to deal with it pretty quickly, pretty efficiently, not a lot of the blight spawned, and they dealt with the wave combat really, really well. Until Wulfric started recognising people, and then I think the gravity of the situation perhaps dawned on him a little bit, as not only were they fighting townsfolk, they ended up fighting some members of the Northern Iron Dragons, some familiar faces to Wulfric, as well as what looked like new recruits. But on top of that, which I felt awful about, amongst the familiar faces of Iron Dragons, there was also some familiar faces from the folks of Thornsgard, including the lovely old man who would give him apple treats in every shape and form, and Quinny, the halfling woman who You rescued her cat from a tree once and she's doted on it ever since. Both of them, sadly, had to be killed. It was a dark session.
It was.
There's a request sitting in your PayPal for therapy.
Denied. This is the closest you get to therapy.
They did
He
the
needs
best.
therapy, but I also get to kill things.
That is true. It's the best kind of therapy.
You can kill your therapist.
Depends on the
It's just
therapist.
illegal.
Yeah, as kind of coming to the end of last session and kind of leading into this session, the boys did get a quiet night's sleep to some degree, though I can't say it was very pleasant, considering the situation they were left with bodies strewn around Thornsgard, the destruction. They don't know how much actually was destroyed, how much damage was done. It was too dark to see, and by the end of it they were pretty exhausted, pretty tired in their own ways, and so they were tired for the evening, where kind of we pick up, because before we get to the morning when all of you guys wake up, Craig told me there was something he wanted to do before everyone wakes up.
It's involving one of
Prank
those.
on us.
Oh, it's a... Yeah, you could consider a prank on one of you.
Wake up, Gromit! We've got to hide the body!
I mean, there is a body right in front of me.
Yeah, there's... Frida's alive! You guys...
Still a body.
You guys made sure of that.
Matthew looks concerned. That's not a thing I came up with, that's a TikTok.
It's not
I think I
concerning.
remember it. So... Getting up after only the few hours of the rest we were able to have. I get up early anyway, so it's not too abnormal. Light's probably not even coming in yet. First thing I'd like to do though is check on Frida, make sure she's actually breathing. That's the first most important part.
Frida is alive, she is stable, she is breathing. I let this go completely out of my hands and left it up to the four of you, and you now get to know what the roles were for. Thank God you rounded up, eh boys?
Wait, what?
So, for context, for people watching, my boys will get this very, very quickly. I randomly asked them as I was writing these session notes to all roll me a d4, a d4 or d20, because I didn't want the guilt of if she died or not. So I let them roll d20s and then rolled the average. Their average for the rolls was 10.5. So I let them take it to a vote and went round up or round down, boys, and gave them no context to what they were rounding up or rounding down for. Thank the Lord they rounded up.
Praise be she.
You were
This
0.5 off
wasn't
of
your
Frida
she.
dying.
I was in the middle of the woods when you messaged that with the chat. I was just standing by a lock.
Why?
Because that's where I go on my run.
Out for a run, out for a walk, Craig. It's not that weird.
That must be... No, sorry, it's just the location sounded very specific.
I remember it vividly. It was specifically the really heavily wooded area.
But yeah,
That'd be a great
that's
place to hide a body.
what your roles were for, boys. As yes, Frida is okay. She's not in the best condition in the world. You reckon that she will need a lot of care for quite a long time. She'll probably be bedbound for quite some time before she can even start getting back to some normality, but she is breathing, and she is alive.
Eidolon takes a heavy sigh. He would say a prayer if he believed in any god at all. Actually, he'd give a slight thank you considering Ewan showed the power of God last session. So, I'll give a thank you to the god that allowed a crystal to explode. No devotion, that's Ewan's thing.
And your crystal exploding powers, praise be, amen.
As I'd open the door, more letting her sleep at this point, making sure I've got my sword on me, and I'd let go to the room that I saw Marksar go into.
Nice. He is
Whoever it is, he's sleeping in here.
He's kind of a spare
Will
room.
catch me in a state of undress. Oh, you should have knocked.
You won't be saying that once you find out what I think he's about to do to you, Paul. As Marksar's room is slightly further down the hall, obviously he's not taking the spare room that you slept in, and obviously it's not Wolfric, so it's not side by side, it's kind of tucked around the corner a little bit. It's not too far from Ranagash's room. The door's obviously unlocked, there's no way to lock these doors, it's a house, it's a normal bedroom.
How do I judge if opening the door or not is quiet? Because I care little whether I do it quietly or not, but it's more seeing if it is quiet or not.
It will likely creak a little bit. It is an old house. It's a wooden door. It's going to creak a little bit, but it's not going to be loud enough, at least in your experience with travelling with Ranagash, Wolfric and Marcusar, that it's going to wake them.
That's fine. I'll open up the door in that case.
Cool. Marcusar is asleep. Well, probably. Actually, no, you probably would be asleep rather than trancing at this point, considering what you've now been through.
Heavy combat.
I leave that up to Paul. That is Paul's choice.
Yeah, it's up to you whether you'd be trancing or actually sleeping.
I'm gonna say that I was having a good old sleep. I think maybe after getting brought back from the dead, that I'm just like maybe in a consistent state of tiredness.
As Eidolon will go in, close the door, make sure it's nice and closed. Take his hand out from his back, take out his blade, and start walking towards the sleeping form.
What's your dexterity, Craig?
16, so +3.
+3. Do you have proficiency in stealth?
I do indeed.
Okay, so that would be, what, +7? No?
Mm-hmm.
Marcusar, give me a perception check.
I'm not trying to be stealthy.
I know, but I want to see if he just naturally wakes up to the sound of you moving around.
Oh, it's a +8 on this, but a 26.
Cool. You wake up to footsteps in your room, getting closer and closer. They kind of disturb you from your sleep as you roll over and just hear very heavy weighted feet on your floor.
What are you doing, Eidolon?
I'd more walk up, see that he's awake, as instead of doing what I was initially going to do, considering, oh, he's awake now, I'm not going to stab him. I'd more do very similar to what I did to Asmir, take the sword and just prop it under his neck.
What are you doing?
You're going to have a hard time convincing me. You had no idea that last night was going to happen.
I mean, I knew Gaerdrah was here, but I didn't know that was going to happen.
And what, you had no part in any of this?
I swear I
You
didn't.
come back here into this village, and suddenly it's the site of an attack. You know how difficult it would be for him to mobilize that many people.
I promise, I have had no idea what he had planned here.
Then have you done anything that could have let him do this?
I don't think so.
Don't think so.
He told me to come here and find you guys. That was all he told me.
Eidolon's not taking this. I'm gonna give a little insight.
Cool.
Can I make a perception to see if I would hear this? Because I have no idea how loud Eidolon's being, but I feel like it might be kind of loud.
Only 10.
How loud are you being, Eidolon?
Not subtle.
If he raises his voice, I'll give you the perception check, but for now, no. As for yourself, Craig, Marcusar isn't lying. That kind of seems to be the extent of at least his involvement and knowledge of the night before. Like, he genuinely seems not confused, but kind of uncertain to how that even happened. He has no knowledge of how it happened. He does waver, however, so slightly on the, I guess, the logistics of it, but at the same time you also have a sword to his throat, and he's also known as being slightly cowardice.
Slightly? That's an understatement.
Hey!
But in terms of actually knowing what was going on, in terms of what Gaerdrah told him to do, he's not lying to you. It's more the situation that is catching him off guard.
Oh shit. Actually, no, never mind. I'll keep with that as is. That was my bad for doing a misroll there. I should have had advantage on that, but that's maybe.
Why that?
Oh, my astral self stuff. It's insight and intimidation.
Oh.
And I can proc the key point for free. But no, that's fine as it is. I'll just remember that for going forward. I should remember that's insight and intimidation. I'd continue pressing the sword back, so he'd have to physically move back if he doesn't want to get stabbed by it.
Like pillows. If I can.
Sink into the pillow.
Yeah. The memory foam mattress. Ran, your mother has exquisite taste in furniture.
Surely it's not beyond even your realm of perceptions that this... As Eidolon more stops for a second, you feel the sword be pulled away from your throat for just a second.
A loud, audible gulp in Marcusar's throat.
You realize how many people most likely died last night.
I am aware.
But do you care?
Of course I do.
I'm scarce to believe that.
care for all living things. Just because he has a hold on me doesn't mean I enjoy what he's doing on me.
As you more hear just like a slight grinding, he's likely grinding his teeth more than anything else. As he more takes a small step away from you. The longer you work for him, the more this is likely to happen. I can trust you didn't do anything to influence this. Zidler would more look out the window. But if you do anything for him, it's likely this will happen wherever we go.
I cannot promise that I won't follow his instructions, but I will let you know what he has instructed me to do. Perhaps we can prevent it, or what's the word? Like malicious compliance. Like, I'll do what he tells me to do, but like in a way that doesn't benefit him.
There's a word for that. Oh, that's annoying because there's a word for that.
Yeah. But that's, I shall be maliciously compliant to Gaerdrah.
Circumvent, I guess, would be the best way to put it.
Yeah, that's a good word. We will try to prevent or circumvent his instructions.
As Idlon more starts taking a step towards the door. As he more stops before he gets about halfway through the room. You almost see him going to put away his sword before he stops, and it's almost that instant. As you know, Idlon moves fast, but this would be more the first time you'd see it coming towards you. As more in an instant you're being pushed up against the wall with the sword back to your throat, though this time it's not just the point of the sword, it's the blade of the sword. So if I found out what happened here was your fault, if what happened to Rand's mother was your fault, I'm going to kill you.
Understandable.
As
I promise
Idlon,
you it wasn't.
Idlon takes a step back. I'm not going to inside that. I'm going to choose to believe that. As he more takes the sword, swipes it down, gives it a short spin before putting it back in the sheath. Get your stuff ready. It's about half an hour till morning. Anyway, I'm gonna leave the...
On Idol's instructions, Marksar will get ready, and like the SpongeBob hand up against the wall.
As I'll head back to the area I was sleeping and set.
Oh shit! He can walk on ceilings. He can literally be Patrick.
As I'll set to replacing Frida's bandages, as we should at least do that once before we leave. Because yes, cure wounds and all, but simple medical practices go a long way.
As well, for the rest of you, so for Wolfric and Ranagash, you guys wake up that morning. You can kind of hear, at least for yourself, Wolfric, you're obviously a bit closer to Frida's room. You'll be able to hear Eidolon kind of pottering around in there, likely tending to Frida. Ranagash, you are a lot more sluggish this morning. It was a rough night. But you can hear, I guess, the rest of them. Marksar included, he's slightly closer to your room, kind of getting up, moving around, getting their stuff organised. And it's kind of up to you guys where you guys want to go from there.
I'm doing medicine to start the day, so if anyone's interacting with Eidolon, they would have to come into the room.
Marksar would probably check on Frida as well, considering performing the operation. The whole gang. Oh, you know what? Marksar will go to the kitchen and make a healthy vegan breakfast for Frida.
That's gonna be so fucking difficult.
Yes. Is it even possible to make a vegan breakfast for Frida?
There's bread.
There is bread.
There's bread.
Can I make toast?
Do you have produced flame?
Well, it's a kitchen. There'll be a flame, surely.
Yeah, she has a traditional fire pit, so you could do that.
And I make her like a really nice herbal tea.
You couldn't even do grilled cheese.
I can't even do grilled cheese.
Yeah.
I would hate Marcusar because I love grilled cheese.
The extent of your breakfast, at least what you can make from what Frida has, will essentially just be, for breakfast anyway, it would be bread and tea. Because everything else is animal produce. Or, root veg, because it's getting to the winter time, so the last harvest was stuff that's going to last through the winter. So it's sustainable veg rather than green veg.
Those aren't really breakfast food, so yeah, it'll just be tea and toast. In fairness, I love tea and toast.
But it's also dry toast.
Oh no, butter on it.
Because he wouldn't take butter and he wouldn't take lard because they're animal products.
This is so sad. This is actually sad. Can you cast Goodberry, Paul?
I don't have it prepared.
Could have made a nice little pot of good berries for her.
I should. We've talked about it enough. I should make good berry because I haven't eaten in like a day, or eaten properly at least.
And all you need is one berry for the entire sustenance of a day.
I will make an effort on the way to Thornsgard to do some wild berry picking. But yes, I bring her dry toast and an herbal tea with no milk.
Would Rand go and see his mom? Obviously Wolfric, Eidolon and Marcusar kind of... You can see them obviously going into her room. You see Marcusar kind of headed downstairs and coming back up the stairs with food and very sad looking dry toast. A very nice smelling tea, but very sad looking dry toast.
There is something
he heads into the room.
There is something I'd say to Wolfric whilst Marcusar is making toast. Which is just, unless you want to say something now, Matthew?
No, you can go for it.
It's more just when Wolfric comes in, I'd give him a good morning as per usual. Are you going to help me just with Frida for now, Ewan?
Yeah.
So I know what you're doing in the room. As I would more just look over. Have you ever tended to a village post-attack before?
Once or twice.
Just making sure at least one of us knows what we're getting in for.
It's never pretty. We have to make sure that everybody's got food. We have to make sure that most of the houses are intact.
I've dealt with people after an attack, but I can't say I've ever done with a full town.
Another big thing is we'll have to send word to the nearest big settlement for lumber.
The Lord of Westcross is dead.
And the Lord of Westcross is dead.
We don't really have anyone to send for, considering we killed him.
We could. I'll write to Mueller.
Draknell?
No, Mueller's in Westcross, Southern Iron Dragons.
Oh, sorry, never introduced.
Southern Iron Dragons, since the mayor, since the Lord of Westcross is dead, I imagine that they are a position of authority, so I imagine they could assemble something.
Let's just hope they're actually in charge down there now, as that would be rather awkward if not. Actually, that would be a funny point. We'd be wanted criminals if one of those sentinels are in charge.
Yeah.
No, if you could, I'll finish up here if you want to start up a letter and we can send before we leave.
I've already written it.
Eidolon just gives like a little, a non-sarcastic slow clap.
We need to get on the road so that we can sort Gaerdrah and all that shit out.
Yeah,
this was purely for efficiency's sake.
You don't need to tell me that, though. We can spend maybe, an hour, maybe an hour and a half making sure this place is fun. Then after that, we need to be on the road.
Right, I'll pass this off to a courier or someone who can be willing to make the journey to Westcross.
Whilst we're heading around, we can check at the caravan yard. That seems to be where most of the, they're dead, aren't they?
Most likely.
Alright, we just hope someone who can deliver it's alive. And if not, we pass it to someone in Thornsgard who can.
Yeah, it's the best we can do.
Yeah, that's about it for now. I'm just gonna make sure the bandages are fine. Let Marksar deliver his sadness. And let Ranagash do what it is Ranagash is going to do.
I'll get to work on a breakfast.
I already made breakfast.
For Frida, not for the rest of us.
Paul says as he comes into the room.
Okay. Fine.
What does Rand do?
He sits up in bed, straps on his leathers, and tries to stomach the last of his bread and water he was given last night.
It's a lot less sad than the dry toast, considering it's a nice corned beef sandwich. It's a slightly sad corned beef sandwich in the sense of it's been out for a night, but it's a lot better than dry toast.
Well, Wolfric treats us right.
Yeah, Wolfric gets down, cracks his knuckles. He's gonna check the pantry. There's meat. There's butter. Is there tomatoes?
There'll be meat. There'll be butter. There'll be probably not tomatoes, but there'll be probably a few mushrooms.
Ooh.
A couple of bits of there's potatoes that you could cut into slices and fry up in a pan with some lard.
I was thinking this earlier. Like,
how fancy is
potatoes
the
would be a
meat?
breakfast.
Is it just bog standard meat?
No, this is like, if you can think of a cut, Frida has it, smoked or dried, or even
Excellent.
fresh.
So basically what Wolfric has made for all of them is he's made eggy bread, but it's topped with prosciutto.
Oh.
Just shredding
But-
some of the ham,
What's the
get
other
it
word
really
for
thin.
Really thin to make some prosciutto, and then serving it with a little bit of diced up potato and mushroom on the side.
Is this already downstairs?
She's got herbs. She's got herbs and shit. So he's seasoned it. There's some. He's put on the table. He's put salt if they prefer savory eggy bread, but if they prefer sweet, even though there's prosciutto, I presume there's a little bit of sugar that could be put on it.
There will
instead.
be either honeycomb, which he could obviously then ground up, or there's like fresh honey as well.
Yeah. Wolfric, meanwhile, has brewed a cup of tea with honey for Ranagash, and he's going to take it up to him.
Where's a Photoshop of Wolfric in a Kiss the Chef apron?
Just kiss the clock.
Wolfric's the dad chefing up on a Sunday morning.
Let's just say today is Sunday. In Elrond, today is Sunday.
Sundays. Wolfric, you can't send that letter away.
Shit!
No post on Sundays.
No post on Sundays.
Oh wait, and that's canon!
Wolfric knows his way around the kitchen.
I can imagine so.
sir,
He's
but-
the eldest child of like, well, what? Eight.
Basically, 7 or 8.
So 7 siblings. Yeah, he's like the oldest
When-
of 7.
When's Wolfric taking the chef feat?
It's not a bad idea.
It also gives you a con or a wisdom up by
It
one.
does give me
like
a con up.
Is your con at an odd number?
No, it's an even number, unfortunately.
Damn it.
As yeah, you kind of prepare the food for Eidolon and Marksar. There is food prepared for you guys when you go downstairs. For Ranagash, you're kind of delivered tea as you finish your water and bread. It is a pretty well brewed tea.
There's honey in it, so it's good for your throat.
Body and bee labour.
The bees don't die for it. The bees just make it.
Yeah.
We have a symbiotic relationship with bees. In fact, humans have one of the with bees have one of the healthiest relationships in the animal kingdom.
Lots of aviations. There's no physical reason why a bee should
I
be able
wasn't
to
quoting
fly.
the fucking bee movie. I was quoting actual fucking fucking zoological studies.
The bee movie actually puts across a very bad message about honey production.
Yeah.
It does. It does actually.
Almost as if it was written by a comedian and not a scientist.
But yeah, you kind of all, I guess in your own ways, get yourselves fed, get yourselves moving. It takes a little bit longer for Ranagash to come downstairs.
I want to know what Rand's doing first before we continue.
Wolfric is doing his therapeutic act, and what his therapeutic act is cooking. That's when Wolfric's downtime, when he wasn't with the Iron Dragons, is he likes to cook. He does like to cook. So he has made for the day. It'll be good for the evening. Like the travel later on is he's making lunches for everyone. He's making lunch. So he's even made a sandwich for Marcusar. It is a sandwich with mushrooms. I imagine there's some leafy greens and maybe a tomato or two. Maybe.
You'd maybe have the tail end of some leafy greens. You wouldn't really have tomatoes up here.
So mushrooms and leafy greens on a sandwich. Cut horizontal. All of them are cut horizontally.
No, sacrilege. Sandwiches are best triangular.
Don't start this.
That's what I meant.
Oh.
It just whatever way they're cut.
Yes.
If people want the crusts off, he will tell them to fuck off.
Crust on.
One only crusts.
The heel of bread is actually really good, and I will not hear anything else of it.
I do rate a heel.
Yeah, so that's a little bit of chefing. It's a little bit of hopefully and then when you just have breakfast, he's like, it's a recipe I picked up. I picked up on my travels. I thought you might like it. It's better with the actual fancy foreign meat. but this'll do. When we get to Thornsgard, there's a merchant that gets that kind of meat in, and I can do that for all of you again, if you like it.
For the bread, Eidolon 100% goes for the salt. Thank you very much.
Also, it's not the kind of bread that I normally use for this dish, so once again I'll make it again with the proper ingredients when we get to Thornsgard.
For a monster hunting mercenary, you sure do have a lot of culinary knowledge.
Listen, I'm not all blood and guts and violence. There's a reason that me and Sophia bonded, and it's over cooking. We like to cook. It's a symbiotic thing.
Well, you say that, but a degree of blood and guts goes into cooking, as well as the violence that comes when a dish goes wrong.
Rockstar doesn't like the ideas of blood and guts being involved in cooking.
Well, you need to cut the meat.
Yeah, but he doesn't cut meat.
Before heading down for breakfast, though, if he isn't up, I would go check on Ranagash, beyond just the tea.
I think I'd be downstairs at this point, just nursing said tea.
Yeah. It took him a little while to get down, but he does eventually come down and he's nursing the tea that Wulfric got him. Kind of just, I guess, watching Wulfric cook and sitting quietly in a corner.
I will allow him to sit steadily in the corner until we're done breakfast.
Then what happens when you're done breakfast, Craig? Wulfric has
I
packed
would
up
have to-
your packed lunches and...
I would have to turn to Ranagash and ask the awkward question, which breaches the topic of his mother, which I know he probably doesn't want to talk about right now. As letting Wulfric pack up, letting Markasar do whatever it is Markasar does, I'll head on over to Ranagash. I know this probably isn't the first question you wanted to hear the second the morning came around, but we're leaving soon, so we need to know. She's going to live. At this point, that's a definite. But she won't live unless there's someone to take care of her. It's small things, just making sure the bandages are changed, making sure she's kept in the right position. She'll live fine, it just there needs to be someone to care. Is there anyone in Kinreen who could do that?
The stable hand, name escapes me, but he certainly knows something about medicine.
As long as you know where he is, then she should be fine.
And we can see in Drakenel, there's a guy that works with the Iron Dragons. I could ask through Lambert if he could make your mother a prosthetic. It wouldn't be as functional as a regular arm, but it would let her hold things in her other arm.
Whole conversation about this prosthetic arm.
I'm just happy I got to avoid a deception check there.
I mean, is Ranagash
That's
going
my
to
job
doubt you
today.
at any point?
I'm riding on the para now.
Wulfric isn't lying. He knows a guy that does prosthetics.
I am lying. She could still die. Just not from regular means. Regularly, she's fine. That's true.
We just need to distract Gaerdrah long enough so that he forgets that your mum's a person.
Can anyone cast Modify Memory?
Ran might be able to later on.
Modify Memory is on the wizard spell list. I added it to the paladin oath that me and Jay made yesterday.
Modifies fifth. Modifies fifth.
Do you get it though?
No, I'm just saying for Ranagash's sake, it's a fifth.
It's
a fifth level spell.
As kind of finishing or letting Ranagash finish his tea as Wulfric does the last of the packing, you guys kind of gather your stuff. The house is obviously quite quiet when the kind of conversation drifts off, and you guys do get to the stage where you start having to pack up and leave, or at least finding a way out as you're kind of breaching the early hours of the afternoon. And where do you guys go in Kinreen?
I'm letting Wulfric take lead as he's had to do this at least once, so...
We'll look for a congregation of survivors, see if anyone's out on the town.
Town, on the fucking sesh.
People are dying, Paul.
Sorry, that's still out on the town. Paint it red.
I should have killed him this morning.
There doesn't seem to be, at least in this side of the town, on the southern side of or the sort of southwestern
Southern
side,
town.
southwestern side of the town. There doesn't seem to be a congregation of sorts. The plaza outside of Frida's house is pretty quiet. There's not a lot of devastation here either. A lot of the houses are still intact, at least in terms of like their windows, their doors, their foundations seem to be pretty sound. There is a couple of people you can see going back and forth from the Tulip and Brass, what is wrong with my language tonight, who are carrying more mason's tools, mason supplies, cements, concretes, bricks, some spare lumber. Not like good cut stuff, it's probably whatever they've got left from crafting, thin beams that they use for fletching, that sort of stuff. You can see that the stables across the plaza, there are no horses in it. There's probably a good chance that throughout the night they've all spooked, bolted and ran. You can see that a lot of the gates for the stables have been broken. There are a couple of, I guess, horses being brought back into town, but not nearly as many as there were the other day. And, well, at least from this perspective as you're looking down the street, the rest stop, the tavern, the kind of almost halfway house that is in town, seems to be alright, though I guess in terms of life that has the most life in it at the moment, at least from what you guys can see.
Turn to Wolfric and just say, if you want to head her into there, maybe have a look around. Ran, we could maybe go look for the stable hand you mentioned. If they're leading horses back, they're likely still in the stable.
Yeah.
Right. I'll head to the rest stop.
Cool. Marcus, who are you going with?
I don't really have anything to do right now.
It's more just, do you want to couple up with Ran and Eidolon, or do you want to head with Wolfric? Or do you want to go somewhere else?
I'll go with Wolfric.
Cool.
Okay.
I think
Do not soapbox in there.
I think I'm a little bit terrified of Eidolon this morning, so
Stay away from him. As kind of looking at Ranagash and Eidolon, kind of heading towards the stable yards as Wolfric and Markstar go their separate ways and head to the rest stop, at least for now. The stables, a few of the kind of locals have obviously been helping gather some of the horses. Kind of going there, you can't see the younger gentleman that you saw in Frida's house the other day, so Julian, you can't see, well, I say your childhood friend. You can, however, see his father, Marcus. He's kind of orchestrating taking some of the horses back in. He's checking them over for injuries, making sure that they've got food, making sure they're watered, and obviously trying to keep tabs on if they've found any more of his horses. As kind of coming over, he sees the two of you. Obviously seeing Eidolon, he's kind of like, you're kind of a stranger to him. Ran's slightly more important, as he kind of comes over and it's just, thank God. Someone else is alright. I don't really know what to say last night. It's just, it's good to see you're okay, Ran.
Thank you.
How's your mother? How's Frida?
Bad.
She wasn't attacked, was she?
At this point, I'm just turning and sort of look at Eidolon in the sense of, please God help me.
As in, you want me to step forward here?
Please, Mr. Less of an emotional wreck.
You know what? I am just the same amount, it's just I've had about 3 months to cope with it. Eidolon would just put his hand on your shoulder for a second and we'll just take a step forward. She wasn't attacked per se, but was affected by the attack last night.
It wasn't that mist, was it? I know a few people on the southern side of town, they almost choked on the stuff. It killed 2 of my horses.
Partially, you could say it, though, only affected part of her. Her arm had to be amputated, and some of her internal bone structure had to be removed. She's in a stable condition.
Last night?
Yes, it happened last night.
We don't have a cleric in town. He kind of looks, I guess, worriedly at Ran and then more concerned at you. You have experience with this?
I have experience performing surgery.
So you did it. You know that it's. You know that she's going to live. You know that it's stable. That it was done properly. Yes.
Listen, I can understand your worries come from a place of care, but you also need to understand that she is, in fact, in a stable condition. She will, in fact, live, but for that to be the case, she needs to be taken care of for the foreseeable future. I understand this has been a stressful situation, but to help her, more importantly, recuperate from this, I request that you stay calm in this situation. Not for my sake, you don't know me, but for her and just gesture to Ranagash.
Ygena takes a breath. Sir, I work with horses. What I did on Frida the night before, that is my expertise with people.
Can you replace bandages?
Yes, but that is not my concern.
What is?
I don't have the equipment to deal with pain. I don't have the expertise to deal with that limited mobility. I can look after her, but I still have my horses, I have my stables, I have my son. She would be better going to the encampment, and I can't get her there for I don't know how long. Until we get word from the chief saying that we can send people into the woods again. I'm not worried about her state of health. I'm worried about her state of life.
What's stopping people from heading into the woods? To my understanding, there was constant travel between the two locations. Or just turning to Ranagash. That's sort of the impression I got from him.
There was until recently. There's been attacks. There's been a beast prowling the woods. A lot of the Orcish hunters who roam near the forest have been told to stay in town until they were given word from the chief that they were safe to go back into the woods to go to the encampment. The encampment's nearly 3 days travel, and most weren't even making it a day, though I don't know how many of the hunters are still alive to make it back to the camp when they are finally permitted to do so.
And my apologies, there's nothing more that I can do on that front. All I was here to do was... I was told that this would be the best place I could come to.
Ygena puts a hand on Ran's shoulder. I will look after your mother as best I can, Ran. But you know your mother. I can't give her that life. I don't have the equipment, I don't have the skill to let her be able to do that. But when I get word, I will send her to your father. I'll send her with the orcs and we'll ensure everything is ready for her to travel. There with the elders, she'll have the best chance. They have healers that are far beyond my capabilities. And their expertise is usually with people and not horses.
Thank you.
It's all I can do. I will wait for Julian to get back and I'll go and check on her. As he kind of gives you both a nod and slowly kind of leaves the two of you to head back and tend to his horses. Several more of them have kind of been brought in the interim, and you can see that they are pretty injured, though mostly from their own means than anything else.
No proper healers here? I'd say turning to Ranagash.
No.
And did you know about a beast prowling the forest?
I think we heard about it before we went looking for you.
I'm assuming the chance of this being related is almost definite.
Yeah.
We might have seen it in that case, but there's no chance we're going to be able to deal with it easily. Chances are it's what Wulfric's been hunting this whole time. On the topic, we should go rejoin him.
Alright.
As Wulfric and Marcus are. You guys are in the rest stop, this kind of inn/tavern, this halfway house for people coming in to Kinreen looking for something a bit more comfortable than the caravan yard. As you guys come in, it's in a little bit of an uproarious state. Breakfast hasn't been served. A few of the patrons are gathered, though not through anger for not having breakfast. It's more a state of concern, a state of worry. You can only see 2 of the 3 kind of owners that you guys met the other day. You see Piotr, the kind of gentleman that saw Ran when his mother was attacked, stopped him from going in, just prepping him for what had occurred. And you see the woman who gave you guys free food the other day, Runa. Piotr seems to be injured. He's kind of sat down on a chair trying to get up and help, as you can see several of the locals with various different implements, various different tools and materials heading into the kind of northwestern portion of the building, and most likely trying to do repairs. Part of the building, by the looks of it, is kind of caved in and collapsed. For yourself, Wulfric, that was probably the dragons doing last night. You did hear it break something, you're just not too sure which building it broke. But as Runa's kind of directing all of these locals, directing all of these men, she's also making sure that Hjotar stays sat down and stops moving. You can see that his leg has been splinted and bandaged almost right up to the hip.
How's everyone holding up?
Runa kind of takes a moment, steps forward. In here, everyone's fine. We didn't get anyone hurt, which was a miracle considering half my building collapsed last night. I've not had any injured in here. The most injured idiot I have is that fool over there. She kind of stops herself. I shouldn't have said that. It's not the time for that. I think there's a few more injured, and I know from the southern side of town and from the caravan yard there's been some dead hauled into town hall.
I have a letter that needs to be delivered. It's to the Iron Dragons in West Cross. It's requesting lumber, masonry, and any healers they can spare. Do you have anyone who can take it there post-haste?
Post-haste, because never mind.
Everyone just looks at Marcusar awkwardly.
I can maybe get one of the boys to take it if Marcus can get some of his horses back and in good condition. I'm not asking the hunters for that. They've lost a lot in this, and Hjotar's in no position to ride. And we lost his brother last night, so he's...
My sincerest apologies. I lost a friend last night too.
We should consider ourselves lucky. Only from what I gather and the people that's come by my door and I've directed to the halls, only the south side of town and the caravan yard actually suffered any casualties. And apart from my building, nothing else was damaged.
I'll see to it that the dead are tended to, as are the wounded, and that through this message we can hopefully begin to reconstruct this town.
Thank you.
It's the only thing I can do.
Well, that's what everyone's doing now. The only thing we can do.
I'll leave this letter with you, if you don't mind.
Aye. I'll make sure one of our boys can get it delivered as soon as possible. As you're kind of handing off the letter, passing stuff.
You'll drop 2 silver pieces.
As well. Help with the repair costs. Eidolon, Ranagash, you guys kind of come into the rest stop just as Marcusar and Wolfric are finishing up. You can kind of see these reconstruction efforts, these rebuilding efforts starting to go underway. You can see Runa and Wolfric. She'll probably exchange a hug rather than a handshake for you, Wolfric, so you'll probably be getting hugged at this point in time. But you do see an injured Hjotar on a nearby chair, looking very disgruntled with the whole situation considering he can't get up and help. His brother, Hjalmar for yourself, Ranagash, isn't there.
I'd probably wait at the door rather than heading in.
If you'd like, I can give a little bit of healing. It's not much, but it could help.
Nah, you're alright. It's bandaged and it's splinted, and to be fair, it doesn't even need the splints, it was just a scratch. It'll heal over soon.
As long as he's good then. Is there any way we can help out in town more?
Runa kind of looks at you. Not really. A lot of our boys have tended to the dead already, and I know that Katya is looking after the injured in the town hall, and well, there's not much left in the caravan yard.
Eidolon, hearing primarily about the man who's currently wounded, I'm assuming he's in the tavern?
Yep.
I would like to head up to him. I'll let you in finish this conversation first then.
I'll head to where the dead have been buried, and then we'll get on our way. Come on, lads.
I would like to ask something to this injured. You said, is it an orcish hunter or?
No, this is one of the tavern keeps. The human man that kind of stopped Ranagash from going to see his mother immediately, kind of preparing him for what he could have seen.
Yeah, I'd like to approach him in that case. You got injured during the attack?
Yeah, I wasn't lucky enough.
What did it end though?
Some creature. I'm scared to call it a person anymore.
The injury point afterwards, was there any lasting effect, or was it merely the injury?
I mean, it stings. I've got a hell of a rash, but nothing else to that.
Does this rash, you say, perchance glow?
No, it's been bandaged up since Katya did it this morning.
Wolfric,
Aye.
have you elaborated before, actually, essentially, that you can do the sort of divine sense thing?
Yeah, you would.
Can't remember if you have or not.
Wolfric called Divine Sense.
It's more to see if that area of that person is undead. Or evil, perchance.
I was going to say, you can't really detect if someone's leg is undead, but you will be able to detect that it is evil. It contains negative energy. It is not positive energy. It almost feels, with your divine sense, slightly sickening.
Wolfric kind of pinches the bridge of his nose. That's a lot of sensation to take in at once. There's something fucking wrong with that.
Has everybody who got injured in these attacks come back with these rashes?
I mean, I got lucky. You should see some of the injured in... Well, it's not really a town hall anymore, it's more of an infirmary. The southern side got it pretty bad.
Eidolon more looks up at you, somewhat wide-eyed, Wolfric. Because this man's going to die. Means the entire infirmary is going to die. Vincent, that's...
Let's lock the doors and set the whole building on fire.
You see, you jest, Paul, but...
Yeah.
That's a good option. So if that's the case, Markstar, as I'd switch to Elvish, as most of the people here don't speak Elvish, I trust you understand this tongue.
I'm actually looking at my languages right now. I only have written down Common, Druidic, and Draconic.
Does he not speak Elvish?
You will speak Elvish, your dad was an elf.
Yeah. That's more like a story thing than a mechanical thing. So that's
It's just
why
languages.
Language, like, you know, how making characters is. Okay.
Yeah.
What are you saying to me in Elvish?
That was the first thing I said there. I trust you understand this tongue.
Of course.
I'm aware that the other two among us don't speak this tongue,
Let's hope not.
so I can keep this plain with you. The infection is likely to spread through the injuries these people have sustained. I understand you have the ability to perceive magic, as you've done so in the past. Can you do so now? I need to make sure it's the same signature, and you should be able to recognize it now.
And I dropped detect management. Detect magic.
It is. It gives off the same magical signature as the rest of the blighted magic.
Yeah. How many people in this room currently are emitting this?
Just one.
It's just this guy.
Just the one. It's just this guy.
Yeah, but they say the rest of the injured are in town hall. I don't know how to explain to these people that I need to chop off this man's leg or he's going to die. It was his leg, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't take much to convince Ranagash. I'm sure you could have convinced these people.
Yes, but that was different. Ranagash had an understanding of what this was. I don't know what to do.
I think you have to tell them the truth.
Listen, I'm going to try my best here. I'm going to ask Ranagash to stay. But I want you and Wolfric, since you can actually pick this up, to go to the town hall.
Will do.
And see if it's as bad as it seems.
I go to Wolfric, grab him on the shoulders, like, let's go to town hall.
Alright.
See? No convincing at all. It's very easy. These people are so dumb.
Because it worked last time, I'm going to look over to Ran and just gesture, it's the best thing I can do, because last time that worked. I'd look at Ran and more just...
Reach into the bag of runes, take a message, and just... What?
He's infected, and it's likely the injured in town hall are too.
The same.
It's currently just in his leg, which means if it's removed, he'll be fine. But I don't know how to broach that topic with someone who doesn't have an understanding.
I don't reckon I'm in a state to broach it right now, either.
Well, if we don't do it before we leave, we're just going to leave them all to die. Sorry, it's just these are your people. I haven't broached this before to someone without an understanding of it. And if I do, they'll know that I know something. Would Rand say anything, Matthew, or would he just go silent after that?
Let me think.
Oh, sorry.
Hold your horses.
I mean, they all got away in the attack last night.
Yeah.
No horses to hold.
It seems to be like either they find out we know something, or they die.
No, there's just the chance that they might start asking questions, and that could either lead them to losing trust that we do know anything, or in making sure we stay to make sure we continue helping them. Though yes, if we have to say too much to make sure that they know the extent, then...
How long do they have?
I've never seen it in trace amounts before, but the benefit is the mist isn't here. The negative is there's depending on how many's in the infirmary, there's a lot of them. It moves through organic matter in a short period of time. In individual cases, each of them may have 2-3 days. If it starts developing in all of them, though, it might produce its own sense of mist. And then in that case, they might only have hours, if they're lucky.
No one here can do a vampire. We don't have the time to get them to the encampment.
And if we took them there, then the only thing they could do is the same as us. You saw what Marksar did last night. The max you can do is stall it. Listen, they seem to trust these people, more just gesturing to the barkeeps, as well as the person who we're in front of. At the very least, if we can convince them, maybe we might have an easier time in the infirmary.
How do you suggest we do that?
They trust you.
What do I tell them?
You're better with words than I am. You need to be honest with it. If we don't remove the injured area, they will die, and they will become what they saw last night. Sorry, this is a lot to put on Ranagash after he just got traumatized with the brutalizing of his mother, but...
We take Runa aside. We, again putting emphasis on the we. Let's explain what's required. She can convince Hyota to stay still. It's the best chance we have. He's be too stubborn to do it on himself. On his own.
Will you talk to her, or should I?
Take the lead and I'll back you up.
Alright. As I'd more let you lead me to who she is, because I don't know who she is yet. Oh boy. As I presume you do?
Mm-hmm.
Runa, is it?
Aye.
It's nice to meet you. My name's Eidolon.
Under circumstances, this could be a pleasure.
It certainly isn't. Can I speak to you aside?
She kind of nods, walks with you, away from obviously the construction gentleman, construction woman. Points at Hyota as she kind of goes past, and you're not leaving that seat. I won't be long. She looks at the two of you. What is it?
Ranagash said you'd be, I suppose, more understanding, in a sense reasonable, when it comes to topics like these, especially after what happened last night.
Go on.
I presume you saw the creatures last night?
Not personally, no, but Hyotar did.
I believe his description was scarce to call them people.
Aye.
I can't explain where this knowledge comes from, but I can say with assurance that the injuries that Hyotar has sustained, and most likely with the injuries that the people in the infirmary have sustained, we have acquaintances checking on that. If they are left in the state they are in, they will become the creatures you saw last night. As in, they will die and become that.
How are you certain?
Think of it like a poison, a disease. It can be detected through senses of magic. And the injury, primarily Hyotar sustained in his leg, gives off the signature of it.
Is it something we can see?
Meaning?
Well, she does kind of laugh, though it's more of an awkward laugh. I don't see magic. He just has a scratch, it's just a rash.
Give it a day and it will start giving off a green light. Well, no, most likely closer to purple. Give it another day, that mist you saw. It'll return in the proximity of the person. Give it maybe another day and he'll die. It'll likely have spread through the entirety of his internals.
Yes, but how do you know this? It might not happen to him.
It will.
How can you be so certain?
I more look to Ranagash for assistance here.
We encountered a similar thing over in the Citadel. Didn't end well.
So how do you stop it? What herbs do we need? We can't go all the way into Mire, but we can get into the woods somewhat.
I'd more give a gesture to Ranagash if he'd prefer to leave for this section.
Yeah, yeah. Take advantage of that.
There is no herbal cure. There is no remedy, no potion. Not even a spell or magic that can dispel it.
So what, he just dies?
Unless the related body part is removed before the disease starts to spread.
I think he'd prefer death.
I have been as honest as I can be. It's either amputation or death. The same had to be done for Ranagash's mother last night.
She kind of eyes widened. What?
Idlemore just gives a simple shrug. She had sustained a similar injury on her arm and a large portion of her internals. She's stable. She'll live. But the infected portions have been removed.
And that's what you have to do for everyone who gets this, whatever this is.
If they want to live, yes.
I can talk to Hyotar, but I can guarantee he'd prefer to die. It also means he gets to be with his brother.
He won't even. As I said before, if they die whilst this is part of them, they'll come back as the monsters that attacked last night.
You can see that she's starting to get, I guess, upset is more a word than frustrated. And she kind of, tone starts to raise ever so slightly. Well, if that's the case, you might as well burn down Town Hall. Half the people with injuries in there, they're not going to be able to survive these amputations, and if there's no other way of doing it, then you might as well give them no hope to start with.
Is Eidolon subtle enough to not say that that's what he does anyway? Eidolon gives a sigh. He thinks about saying it, but these are Rand's people. Take it from me, or take it from Ranagash. But I have said all that I can do. I leave it in your hands. Be frustrated, be panicked, be upset, but do what's best so that people can live.
We are a town with no healers. We have no clerics. We have no medicine men. If half of our town is amputated, the other half won't be able to look after them. You brought this to a town that can't survive it. And now you're taking him along with you. He should be with his mother.
We brought it along.
We were fine until you showed up. And you suddenly know all about this. You know how about to get rid of it. You know what it is. You know how to fix it. And your options are you cut it off or you kill friends, family. What? That's what you do.
You think I want this to be the solution? I'm sorry, but if you think that... Eidolon holds himself back before he was about to mouth off to this lady. As he more just shakes his head and turns to leave.
You hear her, obviously, similar to yourself, as if she was going to say something to you. But she ends up cursing under her breath. As you can kind of... Ran, you'll kind of be able to see her after raising her voice and kind of shouting at Eidolon. Kind of turning and going back over to Yotar, who looks less than pleasant with the interactions he has now overheard. But they keep their conversation quiet, most likely to avoid Eidolon.
Do I hear it anyway?
Yeah, with 22 passive perception.
What are they saying?
They don't trust you. That Hyotar would rather die than have to go, essentially unable to do his job, unable to live properly. They don't have the means in the town for him to live properly like that, and they don't have the means to travel anywhere else to get it fixed at the moment.
In that case, I'd approach Ran. The likelihood is the people in this town who are infected are going to die in turn.
Okay.
Apologies. Eloquence isn't exactly my strong suit.
I know.
Max we can do now is meet up with Wolfric and Marksar and hope that it's not as bad as we think.
Alright.
As for Wolfric and Marksar, I'd like to say your sight is less depressing, but maybe slightly more so. As when you kind of round the corner and come into the kind of towered building that is used for the town hall, you can see kind of in the gardens out the back, there has been a pyre constructed. Already the bodies are stacked on top of it, and there are some locals helping put some more onto it. You were kind of advised by Runa that the main hall of the town hall has been used as an infirmary, and you kind of head into the big building, into this open space that looks like at one point it probably would have been used for market stalls or for trading. A lot of the tables have been pushed aside, and those that are suitable have been used for the dead or dying. Kinreen's not a big town. There's probably only about 20 people in this room, so 15 upon tables and maybe 5 pottering around helping. Most of the ones who are helping are Orcish, apart from a young woman who seems to be kind of manning the operation. Marksar, your detect magic will kind of be coming to the end of its life at the end when you guys get into this place, and yeah, everyone who is upon one of these tables is infected.
Hey, this is how we usually just burn them.
When I used the spell magic on Frida, it could like slow it down, if I remember correctly. But it was like, no, this is only slowing it down, it's not getting rid of it.
Yep.
But she'd had that sort of bubbling for like a day or two, correct?
About a day or so, give or take.
Because these are fresh attacks and fresh wounds, could I make a check to see if a dispel magic could rid it entirely, or it would just stall it?
You can give me an Arcana check. Nice.
Big number.
Big number. As big as they come, actually.
The biggest.
You know that
Biggest
it would
number.
likely be able to perhaps stop it. It is a magical disease at the heart of it. Your issue doesn't come with that, as your issue comes with your ability as a spellcaster.
I'm looking at the text, and it says an magical effect within range. But what if it's affecting multiple people? Is it one effect, or is it multiple effects?
The effects of Dispel Magic is choose one creature.
Choose one creature, object, or magical effect.
Yeah, but this is
These
infecting...
are multiple instances.
This is infecting individual creatures. You would have to choose one magical effect affecting a single creature. It's not like a... It's not like a radius effect that is affecting loads of people at once. It is individual magical effect affecting individuals.
I also hate to be mean to Paul, but just because I know what I wrote is the disease is also not magical.
I mean, it seemed to have worked a little bit last time, and I thought I could like use English to my effect, but I'm going against an English student. I'm a fool.
No, I'm not an English student, an English teacher.
An English teacher at that. Yeah, I thought I could, but it's it's one magical effect. You know,
Foolish fool.
you wouldn't say several hundred people have gotten the flu. You'd say, have gotten 100 flus. They've gotten the flu. You know.
Yeah, but they've also got 100 different variants of the same flu depending on their immuno makeup.
Okay.
You can't just squirt the vaccine into the air.
We've already discerned that this is not going to work. And a mass cure wounds isn't enough to save all these people.
It might help them actually, though.
It would help with their injuries, but it wouldn't get rid of the infection.
I can target 6 people.
Oh boy, how many are there?
About 15.
I have one 5th level spell slot.
As at least for the two of you, as you guys enter into the hall and Mark starts kind of making his assessments, this kind of younger woman kind of comes over to the two of you, looks the two of you over. You aren't injured, are you?
Not at all.
I'm
No.
Sorry, but we don't... You're not injured, that's fine. I was going to say I don't really have the space to take any more, and I'm struggling as it is.
Is this everyone in Kinreen that has been injured?
That's not already dead, or has... She kind of looks around, fled into the woods. Some of the Orcish hunters, after they got hurt, I think they kind of just left.
Yeah, Wolf. Eidolon told me about like their kind of like affliction, a rash or whatever. Does everyone in here have they developed a form of rash?
Some that got scratched. Others that I bandaged them up now as best I could, but some of the injuries were, I guess, a bit too deep for a skin irritation.
Is everyone in this room fucked? Yeah. God, I'm looking at my list. There's nothing I can really do.
I'm sorry for writing this, guys.
Why would you write in an incurable, unstoppable,
Super
unrelenting
boring.
disease? Could you not read the national disaster that's been happening for the past year?
I wrote this before COVID was that bad. Finally had an opportunity to use it. And then I felt sad because COVID got bad. I love plagues in narratives, and it just so happened I wrote a plague when a plague was in the real life narrative. I'm sorry, everyone. What's Wolfric up to?
Wolfric's just very quiet. And he's like,
Wolfric wouldn't be aware of this. Can we retcon that maybe on the way there, I informed them that all infected people, there are people who are infected the same way as Frida. Yeah, I would have told him that.
Bonus action, Emissary of Peace.
He needs it.
Ma'am, I really don't know how to explain this to you, but the creatures that have harmed them bear an almost unstoppable disease. A lot of these people are not going to make it.
She kind of looks down. She can't really, she's been pretty open, lots of eye contact, quite confident despite being worried. She can't look at you when she says this. She kind of looks down at the floor. I know. I'm not a healer. I know basic medicine. I have bandaged what I can. I have lied through my teeth for the past 5 hours, telling people that they're going to be okay, and I know that they're not.
I've requested healers from West Cross. They will do what they can. But this disease is formidable. It's created by a person who I plan to extinguish from this plane of existence.
I don't even know if some of these people will survive that long.
Do not fault yourself. You've done only what you can. I will take this, and I will carry this until the evil is vanquished.
That doesn't really help the people here right now, though, does it?
The weight of a warrior's blade is not defined by those he could save. It's defined by those he couldn't. I unfortunately lack the abilities. I'm truly sorry. If I were more versed in medicine, I could have figured out something, but the only way that I see that this disease can be expunged is killing the source. I'm very sorry that I can do nothing more.
She kind of gives you a nod, looks kind of between the two of you. You can see that there's kind of the tears bubbling in the corner of her eyes. If you'll excuse me, gentlemen, I have to get back.
You're doing a service. Remember to take care of yourself as well.
When I have the time.
That's what we all say. Wolfric will walk out.
Marcus, I would follow.
As my party of 4 rejoin, somberness around the table once more.
How was it in there?
You can't keep fucking getting away with this. All of them are afflicted. None of them will make it.
The impromptu folk in charge are unwilling to let amputations happen.
I can sympathise with where they're coming from. The only thing we can do now is push on and we find Gaerdrah. We kill him.
That won't save these people, though.
It will save those who could potentially be afflicted in the future.
Just because he stopped doesn't end this thing, though.
Are you suggesting that our only choice is to kill these people?
I have one option. I can send for back home and have an extermination squad be sent to this town.
And what exactly is an extermination squad?
A group of soldiers like me.
And do you go around mercilessly killing all of them?
The difference between me and someone like that is that they don't feel, is the best way to put it.
Don't feel as in
when you're trained out of feeling, trained out of caring. Doesn't work for everybody. I couldn't go around this village killing each and every one of them. But I could send for people who can.
But how long will it take for them to get from Aramba to here? Months?
Gaerdrah isn't the only one who can employ teleportation.
Ah. I mean, you seem the best versed in all of this, so...
Yes, but this also isn't my home. Just because I can send for a squad doesn't mean I want to.
You make it sound like
regardless of
much
what
of a trust.
happens, our presence has left an unhealable scar on this town.
Yeah. How many days till Kinreen? Wolfirk? Not Kinreen. How many days till Thornsgard? Wolfirk?
How many days till Thornsgard, Jim?
Good question.
Jim? I mean, on the map it only looks like maybe 3 days.
You'd be 3, maybe 4 days if you had an interruption on the road, but that'd only be because you've heard that there's been problems on that road, so it might be 4 days rather than 3, but it's usually about 3 days.
3-4 days.
By that time they'd be starting to deteriorate, but it's unlikely they'd start to attack the townsfolk yet. If I sent a letter in Thornsgard, the squad would be here in time to kill all of them. All the infected, that is. That's if we're lucky. The infection might spread faster, and when the squad gets here, it might be the entire town.
I don't want it to be the entire town. We have to do what is necessary to save those who are unafflicted.
There is also the chance too, Wolfric, like you said. I can't guarantee it, but if we kill Gaerdrah, if this is his specific concoction, like what he did to Frida, it might expunge it from them too.
That's what I'm hoping. We need to move.
Zydlon takes out a piece of parchment and starts writing something up before we leave.
Saddle up, we ride double time.
You guys only have a horse.
I don't need a horse, I can keep up.
That is true. Because the only
I've got a magic horse.
That's also
You-
true.
Ewan can
donkey.
summon one, and Marksar and Ranagash are both pretty light, so they
Yeah.
can fit on the last one we have.
Yeah.
I'm running
Snapdragon can be upgraded from a donkey to a warhorse.
Conjure the mighty stallion.
Snapdragon! Yeah, I'm writing a letter providing the coordinates for Kinreen. Actually, before I leave, I
What
have
in the
shop
goddamn
where
raccoon
it's-
city? Sorry, I'm just saying, what in the goddamn raccoon city? Like, the fucking... The walls got execution squads?
Yeah, since setting up teleportation circles would be something we'd be taught how to do, I'd take out the chalk and I'd prepare one near Kinreen. So essentially there can be an ODST style drop squad.
Put it this way, Ewan. So Eidolon was captain of the first assault. You'll get to know what that means later. Gaerdrah was captain of the first offense. This is what he did. If
That
the
makes so much sense.
if the infections got out of hand, him and his team, him and his defense, whilst protecting the wall, would go and exterminate groups of infected.
So I'd prepare a chalk circle, as I'd write up a letter, not making a request, merely making a statement that this town has become infected, and should this letter reach the wall, a circle has been prepared for an extermination squad to be sent to Kinreen to wipe out whatever necessary. Also a PS at the bottom, hope everyone's doing well at home.
Oh, you're going to be in so much trouble when you get back.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
My list is just getting longer. As where would you, I guess, prepare the circle?
If I have the map, it needs to be somewhere. Well, you can't really disturb a teleportation circle. Easily.
You can't know, but you also probably don't want it close by to a lot of the townspeople.
I don't want it. Things are happening in Mire at the moment.
Roughly, yeah.
There is this bit of wooded area down here. Right?
Yeah, so not too far from the town hall.
They don't seem to use that wooded area too often.
No.
So before leaving, I'd head into there.
And prepare it.
Yeah.
As the rest.
How many people can teleportation circle send at once?
8.
That'll be how big the squad. So an 8-man squad.
I think it's 8 anyway. As obviously the rest of you prepare to head out. Wulfric, you have your horse, you have your stallion, your war horse from Sorrow, and you're able to conjure Snapdragon, though you are able to focus a little bit more on summoning him perhaps into more of your mind's eye as something, I don't want to say more useful because he was a good donkey and he did really, really good things, but he is able to be conjured into a war horse, something that, at least for Ranagash and Marcusar, they'd be able to at least ride together. Eidolon obviously being able to keep pace with a horse with no issue.
Double pace.
How fast does a horse move?
60 feet.
Okay. So I can keep up if I keep dashing.
Unless, well, for Ran, I guess, if there's anything he would want to say or do before leaving town. You guys leave Kinreen.
Say goodbye to your mama. She won't be happy about you going on adventures again.
There's a lot she's not going to be happy about.
If the squad come in, they'll find Ran's mum is all wounded. Let's hope they've got their detect magics up.
Your mind is cursed as fuck.
I hope M uses both of the Watchers like I suggested. What's that, Ewan?
Why is that, Ewan? Why is that, Ewan? What in the goddamn fucking H.P. Lovecraft shit just comes out of your mind? It's amazing, and I have so much respect for you. But
I feel a lot better now. Feel a lot better now.
I respect you, and you are my friend, and I care for you deeply, but sometimes you scare me.
I scare myself. Sometimes I wish... What was that, Paul?
Just why is everything you come up with so bleak? I came up with a sort of peace and love hippie commune leader.
Eco-terrorism.
Yeah, that was
Terrorist.
Terrorist.
As always, my characters come out differently than how I planned, but you planned yours to be the most horrific.
Well, no, Eidolon's the quote-unquote more morally white member of the Wall.
Yeah.
I would describe Marcusar as the most morally black of his group.
Wait till you guys meet Azariah. She's a bundle of fun.
Oh, there's more.
And then there's Wulfric.
Dad.
I want to try write a character like Wulfric sometime, because I honestly think I'd struggle to.
I have realized more and more as I play D&D, I enjoy characters who come from, like, mundane characters who are thrown head first into the mundane, or from the mundane into the supernatural, are very interesting to me.
For me, my favorite characters are characters from situations that are abnormal, that are extraterrestrial almost, but the character themselves isn't like a chosen one or like a hero. They're just part of that environment, and something goes wrong, such as your best friend murdering your wife and all of your friends and family.
You know,
normal stuff.
Why did you do it? Why did you kill the entire clan to test my abilities?
No! No!
But yeah, would Ran...
At this point, if you know what that's a reference to.
Would Ran do anything before you guys left, or would he kind of pack up and leave?
Do I say it now or do I say it later? Let's leave it for now.
Yeah, as we'll take a short break as you guys leave Kinreen, where we'll come back to perhaps an interesting interaction with Matthew and Ran if he wants to decide to say it. If not, we'll see. But for now, I need some more juice, and we will see you all in a little bit. Hopefully for less hardship and heartbreak and trauma.
No.
Let's go.
as we
That
come
was
back
probably our
from-
longest break ever.
come from break, and I'm
Yeah.
going to have to do some cuts, but we had some interesting chats, so...
Yeah.
This is the problem when 5 friends get together to play D&D and it's recorded. There's a lot of cuts, and a lot of breaks, and a lot of tangents, and we're back, though, to the road.
Tangents.
Don't get off on another tangent.
It's not another
well,
tangent,
okay.
it's dice rolls. And it's dice rolls that we've not had in a while, in a very long time. I don't know if you'll remember them. Matthew, do you remember your old dice rolls?
2d4, 1d6.
Well done. I'm impressed. I didn't.
Vision!
As this will come
Been a
when
while
you
since we
guys
had a
take
vision.
camp. It's been a while since you've had a vision, and it'll be a while since Matthew's had a non-Gaerdrah related vision.
It's all ones.
This is when he just rolls one for Eidolon again, and it's just another Gaerdrah related vision.
I don't know, I have rolled none once, but oh boy. Spicy.
Another d6.
Okay.
Please don't roll another one.
Always nice when she panics.
Honestly, it'd be kind of funny.
It would be. It's another one. Iconic. Iconic.
Let's go.
Ewan, that's
Or 16 by 36. What are the odds of that? 16. 1 in 576 odds of that happening.
Hey Paul, that's almost close to my nat 20 chances.
3 d20s. That's 400. 8,000.
Be mad.
Oh, be mad. Stay mad.
Bye, man.
Might
Steve.
I might need to get you to re-roll.
No.
Has he had this vision
no.
before?
No, but there's no vision I can give that would relate to this scenario,
That's weird.
which is
That's a first.
impressive.
Do you want to tell us what that is?
So I will probably need you to reroll because there's literally nothing I can do because it's the time period that gets me, okay? So it is a negative vision, so it's a bad vision, of an event pertaining to Eidolon. That's 3 of your rolls. However, the time period is present.
It could just be what happened yesterday, you know?
No, that's
right now.
That's not present. That would count as the past. The present is what is occurring right now in this day, this center.
It just watches me like overcooking my tea.
Like, the negative situation could just be there's a bunch of people in Kinreen who have to die.
Well,
And
is that
he's
Eidolon?
like, this
Or
is
you get shit on by a bird.
Ah, fuck, you stole my lungs.
You get mugged by a dog with a knife. It's like, oh look, it's a puppy. Oh wait, he's got a knife. Oh, what are you talking about?
Oh no, it's a gunman! Oh, I'm gonna stab you.
Oh, I hate child murderers. Oh, look, here comes someone now. I say, hee hee, I'm gonna get you.
We get attacked by fucking Dick Turpin. Dick Turpin just transcends reality, enters the. But it's specifically fucking Dick Turpin, Highwayman from Horrible History.
Yes, we need the musical number.
As Runagash, before any more
You ruined
references
it.
are made, please can you give me a re-roll? And
All
hopefully
once.
it doesn't pertain to Eidolon, because you've had a lot of
11
Eidolon.
D6.
Can I stop being in the focus, please?
That's a bit
Yay.
rude.
Yay!
343, an unintentional reference.
What, to, like, Halo?
Game
Yeah,
studio.
343 Studios.
Yeah, I thought.
We're not in a bathroom.
Oh, the one I saw was the Invincible meme of Omni-Man saying, like, look what they have to yada yada. But in the sky, it's Halo. And then he comes back and it's just all the O's in that song. Oh.
D6, Matthew.
I really hope this is just a normal vision.
Hey, another one. Yeah, but normal is painful.
Yeah, but normal doesn't show you your parents dying.
I mean, it could.
Don't tempt fate.
It has a lower chance.
Don't twist fate.
Brand!
He said the title.
Silence,
Roll
Brand.
Roll credits.
I mean,
How do you have that?
it kind of fits considering your current mental state, Ranagash. where at least where your mind would be wandering. As kind of sitting around camp, lost in your own thoughts, everyone else kind of pottering around, doing their own things for this evening. Perhaps it is more a vision of hope this time than anything else. You're not too sure if it is real. You find it very hard to perhaps even believe that this could be a possibility, especially considering what has occurred. As your mind starts to wander from camp, from the road, and into the forest of Mire, where you still find yourself sitting around a campfire, but it's a much more pleasant sight, as there are a lot of people from Kinreen now within the encampment, and, well, the forest is not burned to the crisp, which is also very positive. But I guess what makes the vision a little bit more happy for you, again, strays your mind to something perhaps being a bit more hopeful for the future, as sat around this campfire, is Bartak, one of his wives. You know him to have a few, as well as one of his young children. But whilst he is handing you a tankard and you're sitting in merriment, your dad is there, and not only your father is there, but your mother is also there. She is still injured. She is still, I guess, in a more deformed state. That still disturbs you to a degree, but it is clear that this is a future vision, as even in yourself, you feel older, you look older. The clothes you are wearing have changed. They have, well, they're still the garb of Mire. You've obviously been here for a while, but you can feel it down your back. Your hair has grown longer, your beard has grown longer. You've probably just let yourself go that little bit, or perhaps you finally took Bartak's advice and decided you were better with a longer beard. Where the camp itself is in a state of merriment, where you can hear voices, though you still have some guilt chewing on the back of your mind, stopping you from hearing what they're about, but your mother and father are both smiling, they're both laughing with one another, Bartak is laughing with you, and the camp doesn't seem to be broken. You look around and there are marks of devastation, but the forest is starting to regrow. It's starting to repair itself. It seems like maybe there is a timeline somewhere that makes sure everything is alright in the end. As kind of coming back to the forest, the fire starting to being sparked with Wulfric cooking up some food. You know, small happy tear. It's not all doom and gloom. Maybe if you do get to kill Gaerdrah, maybe if you do get to stop this infection, maybe that will be the future you'll have. Back home, where you're safe.
Topic of doom and gloom, I'm finishing up my extermination squad request letter.
Sat around the campfire.
I have a question. How good is everyone's ears, and who is closest to Wulfric?
Very good.
22. Technically, Marksar and Eidolon, because their past perceptions are above average.
Okay, so Wulfric would just be like flipping the pan, and they would hear it very quietly, under his breath, cooking up the dinner. Putting in the shot salt, gonna flip it over, and then we're gonna put it on the plate.
Eidolon wishes he could feel the joy this man feels from cooking.
It seems to be the close. Every step you take towards Thornsgard, Wulfric just seems to get happier and happier.
Fuck this Gaerdrah bullshit. I just want to grill.
I mean, you are grilling. You're home.
He do be grilling. Grill Mr. Wulfric.
Part of Eidolon wants to say something to Wulfric, but part of Eidolon is going to shut up just to let Wulfric stay happy.
Let him revel in his little bubble.
These are like the last 2 days most likely he's going to be happy in a long, long time, so let's just let him be happy.
I feel like I should say something. Sometimes you don't need to say anything at all.
Instead I'll focus on the other awful things. The only happy place for this group anymore is on the road, when we're nowhere near anything.
Maybe we should all just go into the middle of the plains of Elrond and stay there for eternity.
Fucking don't move. Just don't. We can set up our own town.
But then
Hey,
it
we
would
should
get
go to-
burnt down.
We should go to a place where there's no people. The ruins of Vilvania, maybe.
I mean,
Oh,
there
I
are
will
people
stab
there.
you.
They're just not very
Yeah,
nice
there's not-
people.
Also dead people too.
Kill it at its source.
As I guess,
No.
as you're kind of gathered around camp, pottering about, what would... Well, Wolfric's cooking and singing his cooking song. What about the three of you? Ranagesh obviously kind of coming back to yourself, and just Marcusar and Eidolon. Eidolon obviously finishing off his letter.
Marcusar, having not eaten well for the past few days for the lack of vegan options, would have gone foraging for some food and trying to make himself up a nice hearty salad.
Salud.
Cool.
Odd one, there's a fly on my wall.
I need to say something to Ranagash. Sadly, to pull him out of his happy state.
I need Marcusar to roll me a survival, and then we'll get to that, because technically Marcusar will be going out foraging whilst all this is happening. But we'll deal with, I say we'll deal with, Eidolon and Ranagash. I will let Eidolon have his RP before we jump into what Marcusar is getting up to right now.
So, first things first, I'm keeping my eye on Marcusar because I still don't trust him for a single instance.
He will disappear into Maiar looking for food.
I trust him to a degree, but I don't fully trust him. Actually, I could keep up a telepathic communication with him because of how you've done telepathy. I'll let him head out, but I'm keeping an eye on him as best as possible. As I'll turn to Ranagash as I'm finishing this. I'd recommend you pen something.
What?
I didn't exactly want to say it earlier. I want to keep heavy information slow. It's not fair to drop everything at once, but if I send this, it's not just going to be the infected who are killed.
Of course it's not.
Technically, by saying this, I should be executed on the spot. We're not allowed to divulge information like that, especially not information that might lead to some people not being executed. But if you want to save people, this would be your only chance.
I think I'll take that chance, yes.
I didn't say in Kinreen because if you said that whilst I was there, they would have likely not believed you at all. At the very least, when it's just your word, some of them might leave. Wolfric, you would have heard that.
Wolfric's paying no mind. He's grilling. He's in this happy place. And he's zoning things out.
Are you literate, Ranagash?
In Harkish? Yes.
Common.
In common?
Eidolon would more just turn, do you need some help penning a warning?
Yes. And well, unless they can they read? Can they read Orc? And
most people who
Rank.
you'd probably want to send it to would be able to read Orcish, at least in Kinreen.
yeah. Okay, I'll write in Orc, and that way they know it's me, because they probably expect that you traveller folk don't speak that tongue.
Let's go, BD.
I'm sorry if this is unpleasant knowledge. As I'd go back to finishing up my letter. He keeps changing bits over and over and over again. It's more the hesitance to even send it at all. But he eventually would finalize it, sign it off, and enclose it for when we next get to a rookery.
As Marcusar, you are out foraging. You're looking for berries, looking for greens, things that are edible, that are not meat orientated. And can you give me a Constitution saving throw?
I'm assuming he's out of our line of sight at this point.
Yep. Ouch.
Yeah, that's not great.
No, that's not great. A damage die, because I can't remember what it is. It is 4d10. Ouch. You take 32 damage.
Alright.
As you're out foraging for berries, as you're out foraging for food, something to kind of make yourself something a bit more hearty than just a handful of grub. As you're kind of going to pick stuff up, you're putting it in your bag, you kind of have a handful of edibles, berries, leaves, the like. I mean, technically you do eat a lot of wild mushrooms.
If anyone in the party was going to be, you know...
It'd be Marcusar.
It would be.
Your hand kind of twitches, it sparks, and the serpentine brandings that are now on your arm flare up and move, to the point that you can feel them almost crawling, scraping down your neck, travelling down your arm and almost turning your hand completely black as it coils around your wrist, where you see almost a draconic head appear on the back of your hand and then onto your palm, where it seems to be directing you towards something.
Like, directing me, like it's giving like an arrow, or like it seems strong.
The head seems to be pointing somewhere, looking somewhere. You move your hand and it continues looking in a certain way, though every time it moves you can almost feel it. I guess the easiest way to describe it would be like a tattoo needle, like moving on your skin all at once.
Not tattoos, just like the idea of this description.
Yeah, like the almost like the scraping needle just moving across your skin.
I would look around first to see if I'm within like sight of the group at all.
You're not within sight of them. You're kind of out with their foraging. However, you are close enough that if they came, at the moment anyway, if they came looking for you, they would be able to find you with ease.
Yes, I would head in the direction that I was getting directed, you know, by the branding. I would also like to leave a trail of, you know, what have I found on my foraging?
You'll have found some wild mushrooms. They are quite common in Mire. You'll have also been able to find not traditional leafy greens, but the last of the winter greens, as well as some winter berries.
I'd like to leave like a trail of berries as I follow in this direction.
Eidolon, because you're specifically looking out for him, before I kind of get into what you find at the end of your trail, Marcusar. You're obviously used to Marcusar foraging, you're used to him going off and finding food. He doesn't usually partake with the rest of you, as you usually have some form of animal product or meat within your meals. You kept an eye on him as good as you can as he was coming into, or passing into the tree line, that last little bit of mire before you broke out into open road. And he kind of disappears, though the time that he starts to disappear becomes that little bit more concerning.
Again, I'd give him a good, like, circa, like, 5-10 safe minutes. Like, he needs his time to actually find what he needs. And these aren't familiar woods, so I'd give him the benefit of the doubt. But when it's starting to get beyond that, that's when it's
taking the mick with it, you know?
Yeah. Essentially, when it gets, like, that sort of, like, 15-minute time, I'd turn to Ran and Wolfric and be like, whatever you're keeping, Wolfric, keep it warm. I'm just gonna head for a quick walk.
Alright. Yeah, I'll put a plate over it.
Keep it stewing.
Sing his little song.
As for Marcusar, you head deeper into the woods, almost tracking back into Kinreen, where you can see some, I guess, failed attempts at civilization starting to emerge through the tree line. A lot of people tried to settle along the Forest of Mire and they never really managed it, so a lot of the attempts were kind of left behind with moss and vines, even some trees growing over what would have been houses, stable yards, even some open forges, blacksmiths, with the coals now fertilising wildlife. However, this isn't the sight that obviously gets you, though it's quite pleasant to see that nature can reclaim all things, at least from your own teachings and beliefs. As being a member of the Green Hand, nature succeeds all things. You get into the glades, or this kind of small opening, still nestled by quite a lot of trees, where the brand on your hand recoils. It starts travelling back up your arm and rests itself across your neck and over your shoulder, with only a small spiral now on your palm rather than the creature itself, where a few feet from you is a kind of gathered projection, where amongst them there is Gaerdrah, but there are also two more of, I guess, something that strikes that little bit of PTSD for Marcusar, as beside him, there are two of these werewolves, these projected werewolves that you fought in Westcross, that killed you.
I'm probably gonna regret this, but just for now, I didn't take my sword when I started looking for Marcusar.
Yeah, I kind of guess.
I was left that at the camp.
You don't need your sword. You dispatched all the unfortunate sons without it.
That is also true. These two things seem to be almost biting and chewing and clawing at one another, almost fighting over something or waiting their turn for something. It's quite difficult to see until you kind of get closer and the grass starts to part, and you see Gaerdrah obviously turning to face you, but at the same time cleaning his mace. Very similar to how he was doing when you met him in the morgue underneath the Church of Westcross. And you see a body on the floor. You're not too sure if the body is part of a projection or not, but it is certainly there. And it is someone you recognise.
Who is it?
As at first you're not too sure if you do recognise them. They kind of look more miscellaneous. Peasant by the looks of things, at least by their garb. Though when you're actually able to see them, you realise that the garb they are wearing is the garb of the Green Hand.
Oh, you were going to say that.
Yeah, and you rolled me a d4 today to decide who it was.
Oh, don't you fucking dare. Don't you fuck. Oh, alright, hit me with it.
As thankfully they're not a dwarf.
Oh, that fuck. I mean, I'm still upset whoever it is, but still, thank God it's not bro. My bro.
However, it is that of a young man, though it's quite hard to tell that considering the state that he has been left in. Though he's been left in a state intentionally, at least for the rest of his body, not so much as shoulders up, yes, where you can recognise him, as it is Brother Caspar, the young devotee and Jocelyn's husband. We're shaking off the remains of what is on his mace and turning to face you, his projection almost shimmering. At least you weren't late this time.
What have you done to Casper?
He's dead.
But why? I did what you asked.
Did you, though? I
placed the crystal on Ranagash.
I told you not to interfere.
I tried not to. I felt I was only doing as you asked.
He is dead. Okay. Yes. Because it is a life for a life.
I knew interfering with those things was going to bite me in the ass.
Wasn't those things. But
it
yes.
wasn't those. Oh shit, it was fucking Frida. Fuck. Shit.
You saved a life, so I took a life. Eidolon came to see me with that oath, and Ranagash wasn't going to touch his mother, so who was left?
You said I could help my friends. I just couldn't.
I told you not to interfere with me. You can help them as much as you want. That is not helping them. That is interfering with me. You destroyed my connection to my crystals. You weakened them. You dampened them. You let that oath destroy them.
I was mad.
A life for a life. Understand?
There wasn't much I could do to stop them.
Refuse. Hand off the blade. Say you can't. Or fail.
If I do nothing to help, they'll know something is up. I need to make them think I'm on their side. It seems like you still achieved what you needed to. Half the townsfolk are infected.
So they'll die either way. And Eidolon was there, which means he'll send for the first defense. And they'll kill everyone.
Is that not what you wished?
Yes, it's just a lot, I guess a lot more personal than I originally intended. You see, there's a difference between a lot of mindless blight killing randomly and the first defense killing.
I tried to do what I thought you asked of me. I must understand that I can't just stand back and not do anything. I need to make them think I am with them to help me, to help you.
Then let's hope you saving the life of Frida was enough. Because for every life you save, it's another life I'll take.
So I'll hang his head low. If that is the case, so be it.
Interesting attitude to have.
You don't leave me with much choice, do you?
You could do as you're told.
I will.
Then, in theory, there needs to be no more accidents.
Understood.
Because the more important people I lose, the more of your people die.
I won't interfere.
Good. Now, I have another matter at hand, but
That to be it.
I can't discuss it here. Though I trust you will be in Thornsgard within the next couple of days, yes?
Heading that way, yes.
Then I will speak to you again then.
Bye, see you later. No. Bye. It's just like endless wise. Okay, I wouldn't say goodbye or anything. I'd just like turn back and leave.
As he kind of calls after you. Oh, and Marcusar,
Gently turns back around.
you should probably start running.
Why?
As he turns around to leave, you watch as his projection starts to fade. However, the projection of his werewolves doesn't.
I hightail and run.
As Eidolon,
Hello.
you head into the wood line. The wood line? The tree line.
Yeah.
Searching for Marcusar. Give me a survival.
Fit of evil. Would it be survival or investigation?
What are you better at?
I left.
Investigation.
Give me an
Better at
investigation.
investigation. Did I benefit anything? No. Oh.
Don't interfere. Hear something that's going to immediately try and kill you.
Also, that's a nat 20.
Oh, that's pretty good.
As you're gonna go through, you are able to find his... You aren't able to find Marcusar, but you are able to find his trail of berries.
Curious.
They don't seem to be berries he's dropped. Perhaps an initial thought is that he has obviously been gathered a bit too much, and they've fallen out of his bag or they've fallen out of his hands and kind of just scattered across the floor. No, this is a lot more intentional, as they seem to almost one by one scatter and head further into the tree line. However, you perhaps only get maybe 10-20 feet of following these berries, keeping them, you know, in sight. Where you then see Marcusar, panicked, flustered, sprinting as fast as he can, which for you is not very fast, through the tree line towards you. Where Marcusar, you end up almost careening into Eidolon, almost spinning him around as you run straight for him. You have a small moment of RP.
I trust there's a worthwhile explanation for this.
Fucking werewolves. It's Gaerdrah.
Eidolon sighs. He's almost been
about the whole situation.
He's almost been just taken out of the drama of the situation of when will this fucking stop happening?
I'm only hightailing and running like this because I died to one of these. I died to two things called wolf. Oh my god.
Listen, you're gonna have to explain a lot the second this is done.
Absolutely. Now,
Go get the two of them.
Where's your sword?
I don't need it. Get the two of them now.
Okay, I keep going back to camp, calling out to arms.
As Wolfric,
As I lean back and just make sure to call to Marcusar. Just make sure to get my sword when you're back.
Of course.
As Wolfric Ranagash, it takes a little bit of time, not too long though, before the two of you start hearing Marcusar screaming to arms, running through the woods towards you two. Eidolon's not with him. He's just running out of the tree line.
I'll ready my action.
Axe, take the food off heat and start running towards.
Priorities.
I'll ready my action for when I see things coming out of the tree line to move forward and onto the astral self. Well, actually, bonus action. Ready a bonus action, I suppose. That's my reaction.
When I've returned to camp, I'll grab the obsidian sword and return to Eidolon.
Are you running to the call as well, Ranagash?
Yeah, I'm grabbing my runes, and if possible, I would like to cast Mage Armor as I'm moving.
As you're running into the forest, to this mysterious call of arms to the aid of Eidolon, where the three of you upon approach will see Eidolon's Arms of the Astral Self activate, though you can't really see what they're activating for, as the kind of, I guess, tendrils erupt. What save is it I need to make, Craig? Dex save.
Dex save. Me dex saves.
Ooh, they're both fails.
Both of them?
Yep.
Oh, so they both take... This is force damage. They both take... Oh, that's kind of pish. 9 force damage, but it's a start.
9 and 9. As what I need the 4 of you to do, though this combat will leave it on a cliffhanger, but I need you to roll me initiative for next session.
Oh boy. Well, they're already damaged, which is a good start.
That's good.
16.
Oh! We rolled the same thing, Matthew.
Nice.
Oh, if you throw me my sword, we can do the reaction thing again.
And then...
Save that for next episode.
Hell yeah.
What a real piece of shit move, though. Don't interfere, but I'm going to actively try and kill you right now.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't he? There's no reason not to do this to you.
You know, the more about this Gaerdrah guy I hear, the less I like him.
It's kind of
Who's
the
with
point.
me?
If I'm honest, Paul, that's kind of the point.
Shush.
Just makes me wonder, though, Paul, if both of you are working towards doing the same thing, what does that mean the thing you're trying to do is?
I don't know.
I think this man is not very nice.
So I've got their health there.
He's gonna put me down 32 HP and then attack me, and it's like, why are you interfering? He's literally like, why are you hitting yourself?
Why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself?
If you just don't want to take damage, if you want people not to die, just be a good boy and do what you're told.
Paul, don't. Don't you fucking dare.
As yes, with a slightly shorter second half to this session, giving the boys, I guess, a little bit of a reprieve from last session and making sure that the combat doesn't run on too much, because these things are a little bit stronger than some regular old blighted monsters. With initiative rolled, the cliffhanger set, we will end our session for tonight.
We're almost at Thornsgard.
I hope you're ready to flirt with me, Ewan.
Let's go!
He's prepared for this moment for so long.
As
soon as he wrote Sophia.
When your D&D character has a more active love life than you do, feels fucking bad, man.
That hurts.
I mean, it might
Wait,
not.
Matthew, how? Wait, Matthew, how?
I'm just gonna let you ponder that.
Oh, that's really sad.
I mean, I can give Ran a love life if you want.
No, please, no. That would be worse.
Okay.
Can we bring Freddy back? Can we bring Freddy back?
I mean, Bartak has room. He only has 3 wives. He could have a husband.
My refusal to participate in harems extends to D&D.
Sadness.
Boo.
As for now, with that sad, somber note, as I can't flirt with Matthew. Well, it's not that I can't, it won't work. It is goodbye from me. And for tonight, it is goodbye from my boys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.